Well, it's been several months since we started our kitchen remodel project on our late 19th century farmhouse. It all started when we were offered some gently used custom cabinets for free that I just couldn't pass up. We got a plan together and then began demolition of our worn out and infested 1950s homemade cupboards. Next, we refurbished the wall with new electric, insulation, drywall, and paint. We spent several weeks prepping and repainting the doors and drawer faces while we waited on the new quartz countertop to be installed. Well, the new countertop is here and we are ready to wrap up this project. But was all this effort to save these used cabinets really worth it over buying new? Well, here's a quick sneak peek. I'll tell you whether we think it was all worth it, and if you stick around, I'll show you how we finished this major DIY project, complete with our first test drive of the brand new old kitchen.
Dig Drive DIY!
The paint was still wet on the doors and drawer faces, and we wanted that to cure for at least a week before we installed them, so we turned our attention to getting the upper cabinets installed.
Ready to go up?
Yeah.
Okay, right there, left.
We pre-drilled all the holes.
Yeah.
The bottom of the two cabinets are going to be a ½ inch different in order to compensate for all of the rise that's in the soffit. I can't get over the fact that we took, 40 different cabinets out of that house, uppers and lowers, and a lot of different combinations, and we managed to come up with something that's this close, and Rick only had to modify one cabinet, and now you can't even tell which one it is. So we got the uppers hung as level and plumb to the walls and soffit as we could, but there would be a gap to fill at the top and sides to make up for how much everything is out of square in this old farmhouse. But it didn't take long once they were mounted for Kara to start filling them back up. She was getting more than antsy to have her kitchen back. It was only a few days later and the long-awaited countertop showed up. It's which one?
That is it.
The one in front.
Is that what it's supposed to look like?
Yeah.
I hope so. That's what we brought. Cool.
What do you think?
I like it.
Boy, look at it. It sits in there really nice. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that corner.
Amazing.
See, that corner's got even like a curve to it, and it fits and matches
He
perfectly.
did some good measuring. I just love the fact that it's like gray. It pulls in a little bit of the tan. It pulls in the white. It just like pulls everything together in the kitchen, I think.
The installation went very smoothly because it was done by professionals.
All right, cool.
The most interesting part of the installation to me was how they completed the seam between the two pieces of quartz. I think they'll probably get that looking pretty good though. All vacuum?
Yep.
So it's just a puller? Pulls it together or what?
Yep, it allows us to open and close it, keep it parallel, keep the seam as tight as possible. These cams actually let us bend the stone just a little bit.
You're kidding.
Play with this and move any spot that might be a little bit off towards the back, so you're less likely to feel it any time.
So the glue's already in between.
Not yet.
No, that also lets us open it and close it too and keep it parallel. So once he gets it all flat and everything, he'll open it up, squirt glue in it, close it up.
Huh. Okay.
So this little vacuum pump right here is sucking these things down to the countertop, and then he can adjust them in and out to pull the countertop. He spread it apart, put the glue in the seam, and then squeezed it together. And he's using these little cams right here. The cams pivot on these bars, and he can raise the counter up and down to make it all fit real nice.
Already envisioning what I'm gonna put on.
Wait till they get that sink in there.
I know.
Look what we got. No, I didn't expect it to be that dry and flaky already.
Oh yeah. Like I said, it sets up pretty quick. Those are set. The water-based stuff with the spray, it makes it really runny.
Good either.
So it turns out better if we do.
Yeah.
Does it?
It does it. All we gotta do is clean up now.
Okay, Joe and Daniel,
That's right.
great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
The completion of the countertop installation meant that the baton had been handed off to me, or us. And probably more than anything else, the one thing Kara missed the most was having a functional sink in the kitchen. I can't blame her.
And I like
We waited a day or two for all the sealants and the glue to set up, and then I was able to get the plumbing all reconnected to the new sink. Not without a little mishap though. Okay, we're going to hook up the RO line first, and it should have the pressure off of it, and there should be no water left. Oh my gosh, a lot of water there. Oh my. Oh, it's under pressure. Why do I have so much water there? Something ain't turned off. And you're gonna have to go turn it off for me. You know where the new RO system?
the tank's on the ground.
The tank's on the ground, it's mounted to the wall. There's 2 water lines coming up off of it.
Yeah.
There's a little shutoff valve going off out of those 2 lines. I shut it off down at the mana block, and it's still got pressure from that tank. So you need to shut it off where those 2 lines are going up out of there, and I'm having trouble holding it now, so hurry. After a little lesson on how all the water shutoff valves in the basement work, we got the sink operational again. And amazingly, there weren't any leaks.
How do you, what's hot and what's cold? I never even thought of how that works.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Wrong with reusing our old garbage disposal, is there? We used our old exhaust fan in our bathroom. I thought, well, we'll just put it in there and see how long it lasts. And well, it's been how many years that thing's still going.
Yeah, and the new one we got for the upstairs bathroom broke within the first, few years.
That's right.
I feel like everything new that we have got has not outlasted like the old stuff that we decided to refurbish and keep.
The old stuff just lasts better and longer.
Our old dishwasher that we decided to update, the old one was actually better.
Yeah.
It was just the rusty racks that were bad.
The kitchen's back to functional, right?
I think. We'll see.
So now I had the plumbing done, and it was time to start truly finishing things. We needed to trim out the edges between the cabinets and the walls, so my father-in-law Rick was called back in for support. We're trying to get the trim sorted out for the top. That's how we're going to basically level this up, because the soffit is out of level, but we got the cabinets pretty much level. So we're going to make a custom piece of trim that will fill that gap. It'll have to be tapered, but nobody noticed that, right?
Yes.
Cut it and then make full fork.
Yeah, that would be good.
Well, it's a small piece if we screw it up.
Yeah. So the part that's left underneath the pencil line will be what we save. This will all get cut off.
1 9/16.
This side is a perfect example of what the scribing is all about. If you can see, the trim board is touching the wall up there, and we've got a pretty big gap down here. So it's easy to illustrate it here because of that. Basically, we're going to be cutting that board to accommodate for the curve in the wall, and then make the cabinet look like it mates just fine. Rick has got all the custom trim pieces cut and made, and he was here earlier and got them fitted while I was at work, and now Kara's got to get this stuff painted. So this will really finish it off. Here, I'll show you how this works. That'll work good. He custom cut all the ends too, so that they'd fit together real nice. Check this out. Look at that fit. That's gonna look nice, isn't it? Kara's gonna get all these pieces painted up, and then we'll start the reassembly process. We're long overdue for reassembly. A lot more finished now. Some of those pieces are a little... After all the scribing and cutting and painting to get those border trim pieces all cut and installed perfectly, Rick moved on to reworking that window trim. Oh yeah.
I know. I thought so too, but maybe it was just...
Next on the list was a little under cabinet lighting. This is one of those improvements that you didn't know how badly you needed until you see the end result. All mounted. Fortunately, everything worked out really simply with this one because of all the provisions we had made with the wiring, and my dad, the electrician, was there. But the end result is really awesome.
Oh, that scared me too.
That's a little delay too.
Yeah, that put a little fear in me too.
Now, finally, it was time. We could finish up by putting the doors and drawer faces back on, and the only thing left would be a little organizing and decorating, and that's Kara's department. So let's get these doors done. The biggest challenge was finding which hinges went with which doors, and I'll spare you some of the details here, but we neglected to take note of the different offsets and the different styles of hinges, and so it was quite a puzzle getting them all put back together correctly. But eventually, after a lot of trial and error, we had all the doors and drawers mounted, including the 4 new doors that cover the microwave and dishwasher cupboard. We had to have these custom made to match the rest of the kitchen cabinets. Once the doors and drawers were finished, it only took Kara a few hours to get it all dressed up and looking like $1,000,000, or at least a few $1,000. So the question remains, was it all worth the time and energy for this big, huge DIY project? We could probably do some cost analysis and figure out how much we saved, compare that with our time that we spent, and get a really good idea if we actually even saved any money over having it hired done. But you know what? I am not going to do that. Sometimes we don't put enough value on the satisfaction that comes with completing a project like this yourself. It's not always about the money. It's rewarding in many ways beyond the dollar. And it's educational too. Not just to Kara and I either. So the answer is yes. It was worth it. We're glad it's done, but we are very proud of the effort. I want to take this opportunity to especially thank my cousin Jason, my cousin Mark, my father-in-law Rick, and my dad for helping make this possible. Thanks again so much. And I'd like to thank you for clicking on this video and hanging around until the very end. I hope that you liked it, and if I'm lucky, I will see you in the next one. Well, the kitchen appears to be functional. Bon appetit. Take care.
YMCA. YMCA. The poor guy.
Okay, George. All right, let's head in.